Europe is burning. Yeah, you heard that right. For the past couple of days, more than 2,300 people have been unalive because of the heat wave, and hundreds of fires have sparked across the entire continent because of this heat wave, and this has destroyed farms, houses, and people's properties. And Europe is already looking at Africa for solutions. You're probably wondering, Africa? What do we have to do with this? Well, let's dive in. For the past couple of days, Europe has been experiencing one of the most extreme heat wave in history, and thousands of people have been getting unalive because of the heat wave, and it's only going to get worse. So Europe is looking at Africa for solutions. But first, let's talk about why is this happening to Europe. Europe is said to be the fastest warming continent in the entire world. Now, what does that mean? It means that the temperature in Europe are going up much faster than they are anywhere else in the world. And European populations are not used to the heat. That's why many of them are getting unalived by the heat wave. Europe is found in the North Hemisphere, just next to the Arctic. So for decades and decades and centuries, Europe used to benefit from that cold air that comes from the north, which comes down. If you remember in geography, hot air is lighter, whereas cold air is denser. So the air used to flow from the Arctic into Europe, and this used to make Europe to be much more cooler. But all of that is changing now because of climate change. The water and the area around the Arctic is warming up. So the temperature difference between Europe and the Arctic is no longer that much, which means that all that air is no longer rushing downwards towards Europe. This means that wherever there's a heat wave, it doesn't move. It doesn't get blown away by that air that used to rush from the top. And also that air used to cool things down. And because it's no longer flowing to the south, things are no longer cooling down. That's why they're having all of these heat waves. Now, other things that are adding into this is because Europe has been developed for a while now. So most of their streets are paved. They don't have a lot of trees, and that is a problem. You can see in some of these pictures that all of the streets are paved with rocks and pavement, and all of this absorbs heat and then bring it back, making the situation even worse. Whereas if you look at Africa, in a place like South Africa, for example, most of our streets, including in the CBD, there's trees everywhere, which creates a shade and it absorbs most of that heat, which keeps our cities calm and cool. Now, the third thing is that most European countries don't have a lot of air conditioning. So Europe has only 20% air conditioning in their houses in the entire continent. That is crazy. And also, their public buses and public transport don't have air conditioning because they are never used to the heat. It used to be only heaters because it gets cold, but now it's getting really hot and really fast. Here's a video of me showing you one of the buses here in the UK and the size of the windows that they have in their public transport and how much it opens. It opens just a little bit.